Hi guys, as you can see by my filthy face, I've just literally walked through the door, home from work, in a bit of a state, and look what I've come home to. My wife has gone and collected all the split tomatoes from the polytunnel, made a tomato sauce, got some basil there from the garden ready to go in it, and we're having pasta for tea. What a lovely treat to come home to. Another lovely treat to come home to is that there's another bit of fencing needs repairing. So we're gonna go and get on that now, and then I was gonna say milking the pigs, milking the goats.
You probably just leave it there.
My wife's making lots of derogatory comments about my general tool husbandry, and she's alluding to the fact that there's a chance I wouldn't have been able to find the post whacker, but I think we all know that I would have been able to put my hands on it straight away.
Because I put it away.
So the yield is starting to just drop off a little bit now with the milk, which is fine. And even though the yield is on the decline, I could still carry on milking these girls for months or even years. Every animal is an individual case, and it would vary from animal to animal, from year to year. But basically, you know, you hear of goats being milked for 3 years regularly. I mention that to say this: if this was any other year, I think I would probably consider drying them up about now, purely because of workload. And, you know, as I've shared with you guys, and this isn't me complaining, although, you know, I have had a couple of moans with you lately, but that's not what this is. But, you know, at the moment, I'm genuinely just struggling to do everything. And I've kind of, in my head, I've kind of analysed it a little bit and kind of come to a realisation of where I am. And it's because I'm just trying to do too many things at once. And it'll be great once the pigs have gone. That'll be one less thing I need to worry about for the time being. Now, these are all things that are in my future, and I want them back, and I want them back as soon as I can. But there's a big part of the puzzle that I'm going to elaborate on with you now. And basically what it is that I'm still doing a full-time job as a builder. And that's the problem. The milking of the goats isn't the problem. The pigs isn't the problem. The fencing isn't the problem. None of that is the problem insofar as workload. The problem is that I'm still working as a builder. And that's the piece of the puzzle that I desperately want to change. And I've kind of been, as Ron Swanson said, you shouldn't half-ass two things. You know, you should whole-ass one thing. And it feels a bit like I'm doing that at the moment. I'm working so many hours a week being a builder, and then I'm doing so many hours a week running foraging courses and growing crops and looking after the animals and making cheese and making ham and creating content for the YouTube channel and recording podcasts and editing, and I'm probably doing about the same amount of each, and I just want to pick one, and I know which one I want to pick. So I think in the coming, as part of this kind of forced change that's been forced upon us and our move, when we get our own piece of land, and one of the things that I'm going to have to kind of work out all the pieces to the puzzle on first, by way of like a business plan type thing, is, you know, I need to be able to make my income without having to go to work 5 days a week or 4 days a week or whatever it might be as a builder. Thank you, Rhubarb. Thank you ever so much. Rhubarb didn't want the camera there for some reason. So yeah, this whole thing of, you know, struggling to find the time, I think I just need to make it my job. And that's something I'm really excited about. There's so many dots that need to be joined together. First, I just want to get to a place where I can pay my bills and make my income doing the things I love. And you know, I'm not there yet, and I'm a long way away from there, but I've started that journey, and I need to put more emphasis on that and less emphasis on just trying to juggle all these balls and spin all these plates, because right now it's unsustainable. And, you know, I hope that I'm not coming across as, you know, depressive or negative or whinging. That's not my intention. I'm just kind of thinking out loud in public. I think a big part of this process will be, we've applied for something that was suggested in one of the comments, and I've spoke about before on my last live stream, one of this land co-op organization type things. I can't remember the name of the company off the top of my head, but basically you buy a 150-year leasehold on a big piece of land, several acres, and then they help you get temporary planning permission and then permanent planning permission with an agricultural tie. And part of that process is you develop a business plan where you are developing your income from the land. And I think whether or not we end up following through with that whole process, I think it'll be really interesting to have them help me develop the business plan and go through at least the first steps on that process, wherever we end up landing. And we can use that whether we carry on and go through with the whole process with this company, or whether we end up buying our own piece of land. I think that business plan will be really, really interesting. And I've got so many ideas, and so many different ways of making money, but you can have all the ideas in the world. If you don't execute any of them, you may as well have had none. So I need to really start developing some of these ideas, and then developing a sort of plan whereby I'm putting them into practice rather than just having them as these amazing ideas that will never come to fruition. Anyway, that's where I am at the moment. I just need, there's so many things I'm juggling because, you know, the economics of it all. I just need a day or two off a week where I'm doing things like foraging courses at weekends. I'm not even getting 2 days where I'm not devoting my whole day to a job, something that's not here. And, you know, it's producing an income, but it's not giving me the time I need to do everything I need to do here and have those, you know, couple of hours here and there to do nothing, which are really important. And I think that's really what I'm missing at the moment, and I have done for several weeks now. I just haven't had those hours to do nothing, and that's made it really difficult to find time to do a lot of the things that I want to do at the quality I want to do them. I ended up going off on a bit of a tangent there, didn't I? I started by saying that if it was a different year, I might drive the goats up, and I never really got around to explaining that. So if it was in a different year, I might drive the goats up, because that would free up a significant portion of time for me. Realistically, when you figure in all the processing of the milk and the cheese making and everything else, it would reduce my workload by 5 or 6 hours a week, which is significant. On top of that, I'd be able to reintroduce Sydney a little bit earlier. It's a bit early still, because we don't want them to give birth in December. It's a 5-month gestation period, so still a little while, but not as long. And that means we'd be running one paddock, which is again a little bit less work. the reason that I'm not going to do that, there you go, buddy. So the main reason that that is not an option this year and is off the table is because my September challenge. Of course, in September, I'm going to be only eating stuff I can produce. So I'm going to be needing that fresh milk in September for sure. So this year, it's not an option. And I have to say, by September, we're just ticked into August now, and things should have settled down. You know, it's only a case of like the last 2 or 3 weeks where it's been like this, and it's just bad timing that my workload as a builder has been really compressed and difficult to manage during the last couple of weeks, and I've got about another week of that, and then after that it should ease up again, and I should be able to take the odd day here and there to catch up, and that's all I'm missing really. But it's amazing when you are running at 100% capacity, and I've mentioned this before, particularly on the podcast. I did an episode something along the lines of building resilience into your systems, and it's about having slack in your system. And when you run a system with no slack in it, like mine, where basically I am running at 100% capacity, there's no elastic in there. There's no space for, you know, things going wrong. And, you know, when you come home and you need to fix a fence or whatever else, when you're already running at 100% capacity, that's a problem. Whereas if you've got a little bit of slack in your system, like I preach, but clearly don't practice, then, you know, that's what it's there for. So I don't practice. Usually I'm okay. It's just at the moment, it's a difficult time. And in a week or two, I might feel completely differently. I hope I don't, because I think it's a positive, you know, direction to be looking in. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap me up for today. I'm going to get in, process this milk, and I'll speak to you guys really soon. Cheers.